What's going on, Dan K Show fans? Dan K back and better than ever. The Dan K Show yet again, off-season edition. We got a lot to cover today, a lot to talk about. But before I can talk about anything, I got to get into my three things. That's Dan K's three things. Thing number one, oh boy, have the commitments been rolling in at the Premier, the Elite, the NCDC, every level of the game in the USPHL. It has been commitment city, man, and we are seeing some guys signed on for the new season, ready to go. We can't wait. We're already starting to contabulate our power rankings, our preseason power rankings. Make sure you reach out to us at the _NK Show. Let us know if you should be in it. Thing number two, there is hockey on its way. You just saw the Northern Cyclones reach out earlier this week on Monday, and they were saying a lot of things up in the air in the game of hockey, but not with the USPHL. They're ready to get back and playing. They're starting to get things going. Everybody is safe, distance, and small groups are getting back on the ice all over the country to get this game up and running. Thing number three before we get started is a big one, man. It is one of the best pieces of content I think Lucas and I and producer Lane and everybody have put together in a long time. The Dan K Show presents Hockey is for Everyone. We ask everybody to go out there, share the content, watch the content, learn the content, understand the content. We'll talk more about that a little later on in the show. But first, I have to introduce into the booth, into the show, my right-hand man, my consigliere, a tech genius, a gaming wizard, a man who we will see in some Chell matchups has put together some formidable foes for Team Dan K, and a man who once was the likes of Bagger Vance in the fact that he only used a one iron everywhere on a golf course. I've never seen a guy do that before. This guy learned the game of golf with just a one iron and a dream, and he's Lucas Jones. What's going on, Lucas?
I think there's no more apt description of my golf game besides a man with a one iron and a dream. You know, we had a chance to finally get some golf in, and you know, and everyone knows that every once in a while, your driver just takes an unscheduled vacation, and when that happens, Dan, I reach in the bag, I pull out that one iron, my little bag of sand, my little plastic cone, pull my knickers up real high, and get to swinging.
I'll tell you, we just golfed on the way out to the Chicago Combine, which wound up in Dyer, Indiana, at Foxburg Country Club, which is the oldest operating country club in America. 1887, this thing launched. I made a joke to Lucas when he made a bad shot that, Lucas, don't worry, somebody was just as disappointed back in 1887 about that shot as well, and they didn't have TV to watch. So it was a much tougher time to be a bad golfer back then. But Lucas, man, your one iron was perfect for that golf course, that old school look. And now we talked about going out to the Chicago Combine, Lucas. There have been some changes with the USPHL's Detroit Combine that was scheduled for the end of June.
Yeah, that's right. The Combine has now been moved to the end of July. Same Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or Thursday, Friday setup, excuse me. Same Thursday, Friday setup, just now at the end of July. You know, you talk to a couple of coaches about it when you're out in Chicago, and, you know, they're saying, well, you know, we got to wait. Right? Because what's one thing that all these teams and rink owners are waiting on, because they're following the advice from state and local governments who are following advice from the CDC and the experts on when to open, and you have to be respectful of that. And so, you know, you wait for the guidance to come down. The guidance has come down. They've moved the event. And, you know, Dan, I think you wanted to talk about what this means for some players, but I think we can absolutely say that this is incredibly positive. This is a good thing. And for players who might be worried about the moving of this combine, they absolutely shouldn't be.
That's exactly right. This is a situation where, number one, safety comes first. Number two, you want to be able to put on a full-fledged event. And with the expertise, the quality that comes out to these USPHL combines, to have this thing with either really limited participation for players on the ice or different restrictions that might come with having it at the end of June in the state of Michigan with where they're at right now in the COVID-19 kind of pathway here. It's a situation where taking this time, pushing it to July 30th and 31st, it's Thursday and Friday, July 30th and 31st, will allow everyone to travel out safer. You'll get more guys on the ice together. You'll be able to do this in a better way where you can really see what these guys have to offer. What was the big thing about Chicago? What was the big thing about the combine out there, Lucas? It was the ability to see guys back on the ice and see how guys reacted to not getting ice time, to being kind of shuttered behind closed doors for a while and kind of shut down, and to see who came back with the fresh legs, who was putting in that work without the ice time, who was really ready to go. And that was a big thing for a lot of the scouts to see. And I think a lot of the scouts told us, Lucas, it was the rust. No one's worried about the rust at that point. Like in July 30th and 31st, no one's going to be worried about rust on these guys. It's the idea, though, is we want to be able to see them in action, full-fledged, and that's what you're going to get.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Chicago Combine was a huge success. We talked to, it seemed like every coach that was there, and they all said the same thing. They said we're absolutely thrilled by the amount of talent that has shown up. There are great skaters, great goaltenders, and a lot of really, really good hockey that was played. They're seeing some future prospects, Dan. They're seeing guys who are good right now. They're seeing the guys who will be good in 2 years when they enter those USPHL Cradle of College development programs. And they saw a lot of really attentive listeners at the info event too. And I think those are three things that really show you that these events are important, these events are successful, and the moving of this event to the end of July is really good for two reasons. I mean, the one reason that you've already said, Dan, is that because it allows these guys to skate 5-on-5, there's not really much you're going to be able to figure out by watching one guy do a free skate and having that event go on for 5 weeks, right? So you want to get these guys out in a game situation. You want to get these guys hitting hard, skating fast, putting pucks in the back of the net. But you also, in this sense, get to see what happens with a little more prep. The attentive players who are going to this combine in Detroit, if you're not watching the Dan K Show, you're missing out on these tips, because the tips that we've been giving players on the audio podcast and on these video episodes is that you now have an extra month to get ready. And let me tell you, the combine in Chicago was fast. Coaches know that rust is going to be present, but don't come out here thinking that guys are going to be skating half speed, because these guys are out here competing. And if you think you're going to be able to waltz into this combine without putting in the cardio, without getting in the weight training sessions, without working on the skating, the stick handling, the edge to edge, the post to post stuff, if you're a goaltender, that flexibility, that lower half strength, you are in for a rude awakening, because these combines are extremely competitive, as they should be, because a lot of these coaches are in extremely competitive regions. They've got rivalries which seem to be developing and expanding every single time we talk to them. We've got new team-based trophies. We've got 3-4 team mini tournaments happening all throughout the season. So the USPHL is as competitive as it has ever been, and so do the players need to be when they get to Detroit.
I can't wait for this season. The amount of messages in our inbox already trying to schedule time with the Dan K Show. You better get out to us right now, because it is getting locked in. I looked at my calendar and there was nothing in it. Why? Because I'm bad at organizing my time. But I looked at the Dan K Show calendar, that there are very, very intelligent people behind the scenes that aren't Dan K that ensure we have it calendared out. That calendar had us booked up, baby. It's going to be a fun year. Hockey's going to be coming back with a vengeance. We can't wait to see it. We can't wait to cover it. We can't wait to see it get played again. And make sure to get out that Detroit Combine. If you want to learn more about it, go to www.usphl.com. Check out that combine. Check out registration if you haven't already registered. Lucas, maybe we'll talk at the information session this time. I'll tell you, last time in Chicago, I was eager to get up there and tell my stand-up, and there was no stand-up comedy allowed. I'm a really bad stand-up comic. I don't make good jokes. I'm not funny. But what I will tell you is we did make the presentation. We did make the prezo. Dan K Show does get a slide on that thing. It's a big makeup there, right there, Lucas. We made it.
That's all it is. I mean, first you have to eke in at the end, right? You're kind of in the end of the slide. People are not really paying attention, or their attention's starting to slip. And then every year we just keep moving one slide up, one slide up, one slide up. And then eventually, I think maybe, 120 years down the road, Dan, you might be able to give your stand-up comedy presentation, although maybe it might be better if you don't.
I got some big things to say about this league, man. I love the way it's getting put together. I love the things that are going on. I love these combines that we've got going. Detroit is going to be a great time. We'll be out there. Make sure you look for the Dan K Show. You want to talk to the Dan K Show, you let us know when we get out there. You come up. Do not be shy. We'll be talking with coaches, players, scouts, everybody in attendance. Cannot wait. Lucas, we talked about that discussion. I want to quickly cover another discussion that we released earlier this week, and we're going to have a lot more to come with our new series presented by the Dan K Show. It's the Dan K Show presents Hockey is for Everyone, and we had a great discussion with some incredible young men, Lucas, from throughout the game, the professional ranks, the college ranks, the junior ranks, former USPHL guys as well, also a current USPHL guy, Alex Grove of the Hudson Havoc. And that young man is the future of this world, man. He is just, number one, a absolute incredible speaker, incredible mindset on this young man, and he is ready to take this game by storm this year with the Hudson Havoc. He is going to be raining havoc up there, scoring goals in bunches, making big things happen for Brett Wall. We got a lot more to come. We've got a lot more content just like that ready to release. If you haven't seen it yet, head over to youtube.com, look up the Dan K Show, and hit that subscribe button and the little bell at the bottom of the screen on the Dan K Show page if you get the chance. It's some great content. It's incredible. Folks, the way that we all come together in all this is to listen, to learn, to love, and understand. And when we reach an understanding, when we can all hear each other and hear each other's story and hear each other's tale of existence in this world, in this game specifically for us, I mean, that's where change begins, and that's how we begin to grow. And the more people play in this game, the more inclusion in the game of hockey, the better the game gets, man. The language of hockey, right? You watch Miracle on Ice, Lucas, and you have, like, the language of hockey. These guys were all rivals, hated each other, and hockey brought them together. You watch movies where guys didn't speak the same language on forward lines. You hear about it at the NHL level, guys from all over the world, and the language of hockey speaks louder than anything, and that's what I love so much.
Yeah, and I think that's what that piece of content focuses on. It's the experiences, it's the language that these players sort of live in throughout their whole careers. And it's interesting because you talk about the language of hockey and the immediate brotherhood that the game of hockey brings. And I think that's what needs to be the focus as we continue to look outward, but also look inward and come to terms with the way we are and the way we act and our own internal dialogues and monologues and, those instant reactions we have to things. And, I think there is a lot of room for change, but you have to start with one small thing at a time. And like we always tell hockey players when it comes to skills, it's true for the rest of us as well. You have to put in the work, because without the work, nothing will change. So like Dan, I encourage you to go to the Dan K Show YouTube page. It is all over our social media. It will be all over our social media for the next few days. You'll be able to find that link fairly easily. Give it a watch. It's just one of those things that you may not have heard it directly from the mouth of the players who experienced it, and now you finally have that chance.
We can't wait to share that with you. Make sure to watch. More to come. If you want your story to be told on the Dan K Show presents Hockey is for Everyone, reach out. That's www.dankshow.com. If you'd like to be a part of it, you'd like to be on the next episode, please reach out to us. Let us know. With that in mind, we got so much more to cover this week, Lucas. We're going to be getting into some of the newcomers. We're going to go west, young man. We're going to go out to Utah and Provo Riverblades, as well as the Utah Outliers, to get some interviews done with some big-time newcomers to the USPHL, Lucas. And then after that, what do we got?
Then we've got sort of a pseudo-empty net. So while we have had a ton of you reaching out on social media, questions with your comments, and really getting a kick out of some of the new content, we do have a bit of a unique opportunity here where the Dan K Show are alone with their thoughts for a little bit of time here. We have been since the March cancellation of the USPHL playoffs. We're in Jersey, the second hardest hit state in the union. So we've been in quarantine since March, and we've learned quite a few things about ourselves. And so at the end of these shows, we'll be doing what have we learned about ourselves in quarantine this week? But that'll come up right after these interviews. So stay tuned.
What's going on, Dan K Show fans? It's a big interview here from the Chicago Combine. We're talking Riverblades hockey. Not just one of the best names in the game, but one of the best teams in the game in my mind coming up, because this Western expansion of the USPHL is going to be fun. Coach, first of all, introduce yourself to the folks at home.
Hi there, Michael Callan. I'm new head coach and general manager of the Provo Riverblades.
Now, we talk about this Provo Riverblades team. This is a big addition out here in the West, and it's going to add a little bit of extra to the Utah area of hockey. Can you talk a little bit about Utah hockey and what folks should expect out of Provo?
Yeah, really fortunate. We just did a press conference. Fortunate to have the mayor over. We're getting some billboards up throughout town to establish a fan presence. You know, expecting 2,000 fans at least tonight. Really big sporting community. The facility is a former practice facility to the Olympics in 2002. Gorgeous building, and it's actually right on the other side of a mountain. So you look out back and you can literally walk up the mountain from the rink. So it's just a beautiful opportunity to develop as a young hockey player and, you know, have that really good fan experience.
Now, we talk about it. You play junior hockey to get to the next level, right? You play to get to that collegiate level. You guys are playing at some high elevation. I know there's been some Olympic records set out of that building out there. Can you talk a little bit about the perks of practicing at a high altitude?
Yeah, 4,000 feet. You know, you get the blood oxygen levels a little bit higher as you get back to sea level, and absolutely very good training. And you don't have to use you know, the training mask that suffocates you from the oxygen to do so. So it's all right there in stride.
Now, Coach, I want to talk to you a little bit of lineage here with some new NCDC guys from the New Hampshire Junior Monarchs. I heard you used to work with them a little bit. Can you talk a little about your past work with the Monarchs?
Yeah, really fortunate. I was assistant coach of the New Hampshire Junior Monarchs in 2010 to 2012, so 2 EJHL championships. The likes of Trevor Van Riemsdyk, Zach Sanford, Tom Parisi. So really excited to get back to the junior level and just an option to develop as a young player, and really excited to work this age group again.
I love the name drop. I'm the king of the name drop, and that's a great name drop right there. Can you talk about your past work with these great stars in the NHL, guys that are out there playing right now at the biggest level there is? How does that help you to train today's players?
Yeah, I think, you know, what we had with that group, and, you know, coach and recruit over 40 Division I players there, guys that want to get better, you know, and they're willing to learn and they're willing to put in the hours, and you know, it's at different timelines for every individual player. Certainly remember, you know, Trevor and Zach a little bit younger as far as their specific age at the time, you know, and then they get to be 23 years old and they got the hair on the chest and they're built up and big, strong young men. But it all goes back to their work, you know, work ethic and character. So really excited to work with those type of players. Now,
we're big on building these rivalries. We had the Cheese Curd Cup in Wisconsin between the River Kings, who could be the Riverblades' next rival, the River Kings, and Hudson Havoc. Is there a big rivalry out there for you guys that you think is going to be budding this year? Yeah, absolutely. You got the Utah Outliers, you got the Ogden Mustangs, both really good programs, both really good crowds. So, you know, that corridor of Utah, you got about a 90-mile, you know, between up and down, and certainly something where the fans are going to get out and travel, you know, with their peer group. Coach, what is the goal for this season out there in Provo, on and off the ice, for the guys that come out and play? Look, we're going to be good out of the gate. Like you said, good facilities, good people, good ownership, great facility, friendly community that really supports our sport. So I think we got a lot of resources here, and the community involvement already has been terrific, and really excited to get the ground running. Now, Coach, I got to ask you here real quick. I ask every coach this who sits down with us. Why the Provo Riverblades? Why should a player or parent looking for their next step in their junior hockey career come out and play for your squad? Like I said, it's a safe community, you know, limited virus right now, friendly sports community, you know, really good fan support for all their sports at BYU, UVU, the Provo Orem Owls, sorry, it was a minor baseball team. So really established sporting community, world-class facility, literally, no joke, because it was a hosted Olympics. Beautiful mountain ranges, fresh air, and you know, having coached at the NCAA level, certainly understand the process that these guys need to take as they go through the junior hockey process, but also having the network to say, hey, I've been on that campus, or I know that college coach. So I think we got a lot of great resources to move players on and get good quick. Get out to Provo right now, ladies and gentlemen. We can't wait to get out to Utah and see it. I've never been to Utah. I got to add it to my list of states. I got like 7 states left in the U.S. to go to. That's one of them. We got to add a team to Hawaii. I'm okay with that move too. Let's add that one. But Dan K, Lucas Jones, we'll be back with more from the Chicago Combine. What's going on, USPHL fans? I'm here with a very fun guest today from the Utah Outliers. It's Kevin McCloskey here. Sir, first of all, welcome to the USPHL.
Thanks very much, Dan. I appreciate it. This is the first time I've ever been called sir in an interview, and the first time I've ever worn a mask. So I thought they were always only reserved for goalies. This is pretty awkward, actually, but anyway, we're thrilled to be here at the Outliers, being a part of the USPHL program and under their banner. We think it's a fantastic brand, and we're very excited to be part of the westward expansion.
I'm excited too. I think they just did this for me because I have a face for radio, as some say, but we'll keep going with it. Now let's talk a little bit about the new team here, the new league out in the mid and the west here, out in the Mountain West. Can you talk about how's it going to help the travel schedule, this new setup for the teams out there, whether it's the Utah Outliers, the teams in Ogden, the teams in Colorado? Can you talk a little bit about the travel schedule and how that'll help?
So Dan, we ended up with 9 teams that made the jump to the USPHL brand, okay? And there was 4 of us in the mountain area, and then 5 out in the Pacific. So we've added Provo as the 5th team, so we now have 2 divisions. So you've got the mountain division with Pueblo, the Eagles in Greeley, northern Colorado, and then 3 on the western slopes of the Rocky Mountains, Provo, Utah Outliers, and Salt Lake City, and of course the Ogden Mustangs. And then out west you've got Vegas, San Diego, Anaheim, Fresno, and Medford, Oregon, and Southern Oregon. So it'll be terrific divisions. As far as your question about the travel, we had a lot of long trips, and playing mostly our mountain division rivals will help that significantly. And of course, we're very excited to be coming to the Islanders Showcase in November to participate at Gallant Arena in the Boston area.
Can you talk to me a little bit now about what style of hockey folks should expect out of this new division in the USPHL? What should they expect?
So that's an interesting question. In Utah, Provo, the Ogden Mustangs, and the Utah Outliers, we all play in Olympic rinks. So personally, the Outliers are a very puck possession driven team on the big ice. We like to play with the puck instead of chasing the puck. And we've talked a lot with Mike Callan from the new coach in Provo, and he's up here watching as well. But we like to possess the puck, and it's a speed game on the big ice.
Now, I can't wait to see you guys take on the New York Aviators out here when you come out to IHC. Maybe they can get that on the schedule for me because they like to possess the puck too.
Yeah, and by the way, they played sea level. We played 4,500 feet.
Oh my God. So talk about that. If I'm a player and I'm looking to come out and play for you guys, what can that do for me if I wind up heading back east to go to college and play, or out to the Midwest and play?
I think the bang for the buck early on is that it takes the kids about a week to adjust. Okay, we're at 4,500 and on the big ice. So it's thin air, and the speed skating oval from the Olympics in '02 has had more world records set there than any other speed skating facility in the world. And a lot of that is attributed to the thin air. But as far as once you leave and you get back down, the red blood cells adjust, and you lose your bang for the buck, so to say, eventually.
I'll tell you, I could barely walk up a set of stairs. I don't know how I'm going to do going out there and covering you guys, especially during this quarantine.
Listen,
but
you come out there, it's a beautiful part of the world. It's clean. There's not much virus, and it's a beautiful, spectacular mountain area. It's gorgeous. A former Olympic city in 2002, so the facilities are fantastic, and it's a beautiful place in the world, and no humidity.
Now, if I'm a player or a parent looking at home at where I'm going to go next, why head out to the West? Why head out to the Outliers? Why play for the program?
Well, first of all, back in the Settlers, didn't they all say, "Go West, young man"? There we go. Go West. We've had a lot of success. Paul Taylor and I moved out there, moved out 5 years ago. We've had in Paul's previous program and 26 Division I commits. He's got 3 kids playing in the NHL, including Seth Jones. He played 4 or 5 years in his program in Dallas. And, as I say, it's a great part of the world. There are universities out in the West at the D1 level. So, from the D3 level, we send mostly kids to the Midwest and some to the East. But it's a fantastic experience. The quality of life is beyond good. The pace of life is even though we're a big city, 1.3 million, the pace of life is very, very good, and it's just a fantastic experience.
Last question for you. Out here in Chicago at the Combine, can you talk about what an event like this can do for you, especially during such a unique off-season in terms of recruiting and getting everything together? Great
question, Dan. So, here in Dyer, Indiana, and this is the first event, I believe, nationally that's happened. So it's, number one, we're excited to be watching 10 hockey games today. Number two is, there's a lot of younger kids here that we'll make note of for the future. There are some older kids here, but we think it's our first experience at a USPHL event, and we're very impressed with the way it's run. And Josh and you, Dan, and John Schwartz have done a fantastic job with putting this on. Big turnout from all the teams here. We came in. I think Pueblo's here. The Provo team is represented here. So we were very excited to send and represent and look at some good hockey.
We can't wait to get out there. We're going to play a little real-life Oregon Trail. Lucas and I are going to hop into a horse and buggy, race our way out there with our rations.
So it would be Lewis and Clark.
Correct, yeah. But I don't know. I don't know if we're as good as Lewis and Clark. I can't even read my GPS.
Better. I think you guys are better.
I struggle with Waze directions, nonetheless, trying to get myself navigated out there.
All right, welcome back. Some great interviews. We're excited, man. We're so excited to work with the Utah Outliers, the Provo Riverblades, and everybody joining the league. Go West, young man. We're going to be Oregon trailing it out to the West Coast, baby. Let's go. Let's go cover some hockey out there. But before that, like Lucas teased, as you say, in the broadcasting world, we have to reveal, Lucas, just what?
Have we learned about ourselves in quarantine this week?
Yes. What have we learned this week, Lucas? I brought it up before. There's a goose family in my life, and it's been my life throughout quarantine in the state of New Jersey with nowhere to go. I've ordered a lot of food at home. I've become a master chef. I wish I started reading more. I have not started reading more. I've watched a lot of movies and a lot of Netflix shows, but when I get outside, there's a little pond behind my apartment, and I got a nice little overview of the pond, and I head out there, and they've had a baby goose family, 6 baby geese. One of them I named Chomp. He tends to bite me when I don't feed him quick enough. There's a new baby goose family that came into town, and Lucas, I learned today, make sure they're not near each other when you're feeding them, because Chomp started a bit of a battle with the other guys, and now I got a little bit of a goose rivalry going on every time I show up. I tried to go out on one of my daily runs a couple days ago, and I got chased into the woods by 2 different goose families.
Dan, are you out there starting turf wars again?
I am. I don't know what I'm doing. I got to be careful, and I grew close to the geese, and this all of a sudden I'm causing problems. I apologize to both of them. I don't think they understand my apologies. Lucas, what have you learned? Hopefully it's better than mine.
Well, I have learned something about myself as well as an accomplishment I'd like to share this week. The thing that I have learned about myself is that I hate sitting down, Dan. I know we always complain about how tired we are at these events of 8, 10, 12 hours of walking, standing on concrete, broadcasting games, up and down stairs. The amount of sitting that I have done in quarantine, with the exception of the 45 minutes a day that I am working out, is outrageous. I need to invest in a series of standing desks, I think, at this point, because I just can't sit anymore. I've been having to do stretches all throughout the day to keep everything loosened up. The workouts are starting to get longer just so I'm not sitting down anymore. It's absolutely insane. I'll never complain about standing again. But my accomplishment for this week.
Ooh, accomplishment.
Now, Fortnite is a pretty widespread game in the world of, I think there's in hockey, sports, among some of the youth players. I am not a Fortnite guy. I cannot.
Patrick Laine is.
I can't handle the construction. The building is not my thing. But thankfully, for people like me, there's Call of Duty Warzone. And I would like to share an accomplishment that I finally won a game of Warzone with my Trios team last week, Dan.
Yes.
We brought ourselves back 3 times. Everyone won their first gulag. Then everyone died again and was brought back. Team of 3, final circle moving around. Pinned 2 guys in a building, flushed them out. Got 2 guys underneath an airplane, flushed them out. And what do you know? It's just the 3 of us left. Very, very excited, although I had to be quiet because it was like 1:30 in the morning. So you can't really do much celebrating in an apartment around that time.
And in my accomplishment, very close to yours, I beat Super Mario World on Super Nintendo for the 500th time. Big time victory for me. I know all the cheats and how to get to the end very quickly. Took me about 35 minutes. Not as big of an accomplishment.
I mean, you know what, though? It's a good measurement. It's like a lap timing against yourself, but over a period of years.
Yeah.
Are the reflexes getting slower? Are the joints getting locked up? This is a way for you to make sure that's not happening.
No, yes to both of those. Somehow I still won it, though. I was wise beyond my years with it. All right. We talked enough about that. Folks, we can't wait for hockey to get back. We're so close. We're getting there. We're matriculating down the field. If you haven't watched the Dan K Show's audio podcast yet, head over to Spotify, iTunes, wherever you get your podcast, and you can watch us chat with Bill Flanagan. Bill Flanagan, one of our favorites in the game. We talk a little bit about the Elite Women's Hockey League he's working with. We talk a little bit about the Northern Cyclones, about the NCDC, about his recruitment, and about how incredibly stellar they have been at the Northern Cyclones organization. It's going to be a fun one to watch. So you better tune over there right now. When you're done with this, take some time to watch it. With that in mind, I go to Lucas. Parting words. Great job, Lucas. Parting words. My parting words, stay strong. Let's go. The heat of summer, it's heating up. Let's melt the ice, baby. Let's work hard. Let's run fast. Let's get, when these rinks start opening up for you, get on that ice, get skating. If you can't get there still, get the hands working. Get out there on that cardio. Keep working every day. Somebody out there is trying to outwork you. Somebody out there is trying to be better than you. Somebody out there is working just a bit harder than you right now. Take it personally. Do not allow someone to beat you, and do not allow someone to be better than you. That's it. It's okay for someone to have more talent than you. It ain't okay to get outworked. Let's go, ladies and gents. It's going to be hockey time. When Dan K's on the mic, it is always hockey night. And somehow I always mess up my own catchphrase.
You know what? You're probably still reeling from having to make the future plug about the podcast that we haven't even recorded yet.
That's
Because
tough to do.
We will be recording with Bill Flanagan immediately after recording this, but Coach Flanagan is coming out before this episode. So Dan basically time traveled to make that plug.
I did, and you shouldn't time. I probably could time travel right now. This is my 6th cup of coffee today.
That is, you're not doing anything. What's all the coffee for?
I don't know, but I'm sweating and I'm ready to run.